Do you want illegal migration, which is forced by European Union? Zero. Not even one will come to Poland.
Poland is a pretty key player in all of this. Dominic Tarczynski, MEP, was the first MEP to go and visit Lampedusa. And he joins me right now, member of the European Parliament for the Law and Justice Party. Dominic.
Okay, this is an unrelated thing. He kind of looks like John Cena, right? Am I crazy?
It looks like you're close to winning the general election. Are you saying you won't take migrants that have come in through Italy?
Of course not. We won't. What we're saying is send them back. Simple as that. Poland is the only country in the European Union which we haven't had even one terrorist attack. We don't have stabbings, we don't have rapes, we don't have all these really dangerous behaviors from migrants, illegal migrants.
That's not 100% true. And there have been a couple of crimes done by migrants, by one Venezuelan guy, a Colombian guy, and even in Warsaw, like last year, there was a guy who murdered a chick with an axe at one of the universities here. So, you know, they do have some problems as well. But what you see in France, or UK, or Sweden, where you have mass migration from completely different countries that are causing crime in their countries, they don't really have that here in Poland. It's true.
Straight. Zero tolerance. We built a beautiful wall on our border with Belarus.
We're going to build a wall.
There's no way anyone would enter Poland. When you see the data from Eurostat, not ours, from European Union, Poland is the safest country in Europe.
That is true. That is true. Many would say that, well, okay, there have been problems of assimilation, but that in time it's going to be a success. And and here's the interesting thing. You know, you're signatories to the European Convention on Human Rights.
That's right.
You're subject to that court in Strasbourg. How is it that the European Union aren't taking action against you for saying that?
Of course they will. They started in 2015. You have to remember when they started this madness. I mean, Angela Merkel started it when she was looking for cheap labor. We said, no, we're not going to sign this quota system. And the quota system failed. The quota system does not exist anymore. Why? Because Poland and others said, Hungary, they
said, simply said no.
No.
And you're still saying no.
No, we said very simple, zero. Not 1,000, not 100, zero, not even.
Whilst I'm talking to Dominic, we'll play you some footage of him on the island of Lampedusa. So zero it was, zero it's going to remain.
That's right.
What is going to happen, do you think, outside of Poland?
Well, the problem is with Italy, I think the problem is just very simple. Money. The budget is in really bad shape. So they have a really serious problems, and she needs money from European Union. She needs money. It's differently in Poland. Poland is doing great. The lowest unemployment in the whole European Union.
Your economy is good. Some of those pictures we just showed our viewers, that number of young men packed in.
18,000.
Must have been quite a tense atmosphere.
That was really scary, especially that we visited this camp during the night.
So one of the bad things about this whole entire situation is that a lot of times white people will use this as an excuse to be racist to black people or to Indians, right? I don't think all black people are bad. I don't think all Indians are bad. But there's a reason why these people are leaving their country. It sounds racist to say. I'm not making a moral judgment that some people are better than others. It's just culturally, based on weather, based on history, there are certain cultures that blend well together over others. Another big issue is, like, if you look at what's going on here, right? It's all men. What happens when you bring a bunch of men to a country? They don't really care about the rules. Their legal situation is kind of like iffy, so they don't really have a ton to lose. And if they're sitting around, they don't have jobs, they're not getting money from the government, they have a bunch of free time on their hands, what are they gonna do? A lot of times they will commit crime. This is a problem that the UK actually had with Polish people up until recently, with a lot of Polish people committing crime. So, you know, I don't think it's necessarily a race issue. I can understand Poland's position as well.
80,000 people within a week. The camp was prepared for 400 people. This madness has to be stopped.
Wow, crazy.
It will be stopped by Poland. We stopped it. We never let anyone to come illegally to Poland. When you see Polish people in London, we are here legally. We pay taxes, we contribute to the society, and if anyone would like to come to Poland legally, you are very welcome. But the problem is, when you have 200,000 people in Germany, we do not know who are they. They just vanished. 200,000 people by the German data. We don't know who are they, where are they, what are they going to do.
Dominic, we have our own problem, with 46,000 people crossing the English Channel last year. What do you say, send them back? How would you send those young men back? I mean, you'd need the army to do it, wouldn't you?
No, not at all. What you need to do, you need to put them on the plane, send them back. The problem is that they destroy their passports, they destroy the fingerprints, so they are already criminals. But you cannot keep them. You cannot let them stay in here, because if we're going to continue with this madness, there will be 5 or 15 or 50 million people within 10 years. Yeah, it's not going to stop, because people who are making money on it are very happy from what they heard from Madame von der Leyen.
And they're making a lot of money. Now,
and if you think about it from their perspective, right? If you hear that the European countries are offering money and an easy pass to citizenship coming from where you're coming from, of course, people are going to take advantage of that. The same thing was happening in the US. When I was in Colombia, I knew a couple of Venezuelan people that lived there that were refugees. They escaped the Maduro regime. When Biden was president, migrated to the US illegally. I think it's maybe like 10 million people that came in over the span of 4 years, something crazy. My family were from the Philippines. When I was younger, I remember seeing a bunch of poverty everywhere. And it made me feel so sad seeing so many people, all of these kids begging you for money. It tugs at your heartstrings, right? But then my parents would say that you cannot ever give them money, because if you do give them money, 20 are gonna come back afterwards, and it's just gonna cause more problems. And that's exactly what's happening here. Once you set the precedents that rules don't matter and people can come in and we're gonna treat you better than the citizens of that country, of course people are gonna come. What do you expect is going to happen?
Joined down the line by Fadi Farhat, senior legal consultant and a lawyer specializing in immigration and human rights law. Fadi, when you hear the view from a Polish politician, how would you respond to the idea that the only way we stop this is to simply send people back across the Mediterranean?
As a lawyer, you can comment on the existing state of the law and the existing state of the legal framework which we have, which across Europe is shaped by the European Convention on Human Rights and the ECHR. The old saying is, if there's a will, there's a way. That's in the political ambit, and with a majority in Poland, one can say that there is a political mandate for Mr. Tarczynski's ideas and policies. The European Court in Strasbourg has been clear these policies of interception, even on the high seas, in international waters, fall foul of the Refugee Convention and Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights. So there is
But why do these human rights apply to non-Europeans? This is what doesn't make sense to me. And this is like the Achilles heel of Western countries, just white people in general, right? I think it comes from the roots in Christianity, this savior complex that people have, and this culture of guilt where you have to be guilty of your privilege and your country and what you have. But it's an emotional manipulation tactic, because people will make that argument and then be like, okay, so because you're a privileged person and this person's not, you need to feel sorry for this person. You need to give money to this person. You have to let this person into your house because look at your life. Look how good you have it. These guys don't have it. You're a bad person because you have a good life. And the big question is, what's more important, the human rights of people that don't even belong to this country, or maintaining your country's rule of law and protecting the citizens of that country? And in my opinion, the citizens of a country should get priority over people who don't even belong to that country. Human rights, all this stuff, these are all manipulation tactics. I'm not saying that I don't care about these people and that I don't sympathize with their situation. You cannot give up rule of law and sacrifice your country to benefit people that have nothing to do with you.
But it's presently, a condition of European Union membership to be also a member of the Council of Europe.
He's absolutely right in what he says.
I'm happy he mentioned the legal ground, because I'm a lawyer too. I'm doing my PhD on human rights at the moment. The most important message from our government is that there is no law, any law, above the will of Polish nation. That's why we have elections in 25 days, but we have referendum the same day.
Good.
And we just let Polish people to say, do you want illegal migration, which is forced by European Union? Yes or no? Since 2015, our party won 8 times. We have won 8 times. Leftists were rejected 8 times. If we're going to win, if referendum will be very, very clear, there is no law above the will of Polish nation.
Well,
and the most important is safety. We want our women, our children to be safe.
Fantastic,
and we're going to keep our word. We
agreed.
promised in 2015, 0. Not even one will come to Poland. We did.
And this is why family values are so important, and these are being eroded in Western European countries right now. Poland is like this weird paradox because they are a very conservative nation with strong family values with a low birth rate. I think a lot of it has to do with financial reasons. Maybe there's a strong feminism movement with the women here as well, and that could also be a factor. Families are important because they give men a reason to fight. If a man doesn't have a family, an outside group comes in to oppress your country and your people. I don't have kids here. I don't have a wife. Why do I care? Take the street, right? But if my wife and kids live here and you have a bunch of men with wife and kids that live in a neighborhood and an outside group comes in, they're gonna go and be like, no, I'm gonna stand here. You can do whatever you want to me, but you're not gonna oppress my wife and kids. Get the F out. And I think that's why family values and the acceptance for all of these things are actually kind of linked.
Not let anyone in illegally, and we're gonna keep our word.
That language used in this country would be written off
We've
European
been
Union.
called by don't call Juncker a racist.
I know,
They can call us a pink elephant. I don't care.
I'm gonna give the last word to Fadi. Fadi.
Finally, somebody with a pair of balls and some courage. I love this guy. I love Dominic. I like watching him talk. I think he's very passionate. He's a good speaker. He's very firm. He doesn't care if people throw names at him. He has a lot of courage and balls, and I gotta respect him for them. If you are Polish living in US, Canada, or Western Europe, I highly recommend that you move back to Poland. Poland is one of the only sane countries left in Europe. The birth rate is so low, we need Polish people to come back and help raise families here. So if you guys are interested, I highly recommend setting up a strategy call here so we can see how feasible it is for you to move back to Poland.